And hello there. Let's get a stream for a puzzle loaded up here. We're doing puzzle number 687 from SudokuStore's Hard Puzzle Collection. I was concerned earlier that I might have to make a run up to my place up north to pick up a nano VNA storage. Turns out it's been sitting in the back of my vehicle. All right. Puzzle should be loaded up here correctly. Let's do a validate, and if it works, we'll solve it. If you get 20 seconds before I start solving it to grab a screenshot and maybe get a head start on me. There we go. So another 15 seconds. And 3. And it's my turn. All right. In the background, I've got Tom Riddle trying to convince Harry to not let him, or not kill him off. Or at least one of his Horcruxes. And nail down all of the possibilities here. Let's breathe. Go through and do the easy ones first, of course, if possible, but not all of them will be. Matter of fact, I've got no hints on 3s at all. All right, 4. One of these 2 will be 4. And that becomes a 4. 4 possibilities there. 4 possibilities here. 3 possibilities here. All right, we'll nail them up. And 5. Here, one of these 2 will be a 5. One of these 2 will be a 5. And one of these 2 are a 5 here. Down to 2 possibilities here. And 6 possibilities here. All right, 6s. I get a 6 here. Another 6 here. One of these 2 is a 6. One of these 2 is a 6. And that's it. 6 7s. Now, one of these 2 is a 7. 4 possibilities here. Oh, no, I don't. I've got 2 possibilities here. 3 possibilities here. And 3 possibilities here. But 8. Well, one of these 2 is an 8. One of these 3 is an 8. I've got 3 possibilities here and 3 possibilities here. And in the others, it looks like everything can be an 8. Not nearly as many as it looks like, and I think it could be is. All right, hold on. In this row or column, get a 1, 2. One of these 3 is going to be a 3. We'll see about that. 4. This is going to be a 9. One of these 2 is a 3. So now we've got some hints on the table for it. All right. 9. We got that 9. One of these 2 is a 9. That's not a 5. That can't be a 5. This one couldn't have been a 5, so that's a 5. And up here, neither of these can be a 4, so that's a 4. All right. One of these 2 is a 9. This one can't be a 9, so this is not a 9 there. This one becomes, one of these 2 becomes a 9. And we've got a 9 going there. Yeah, one of these 2 is a 9, so that can't be, that is. And over here, this one is a 9, so that's not, that is. That turns this into a 3. And another clue on a 3. All right. We're reduced to this one being an 8 only because it couldn't have been in or over here. So 7 and 8, that makes this a 3. 3, not 6. One of these 2 is a 3. Now I've got 3 possible 3s here. Two possible 3s here. 6. One of these 2 is a 3. One of these 2 is a 3. Or 3 possible 3s here. And over here, it looks like everything's possible, but we end up with 3 possible 3s here. So let's go ahead and mark all the possibilities here. Maybe we'll be clearing some of that out. All right. Okay, one of these 2 is a 1. One of these 2 is a 1. Get for 1. This can't be a 2, so that's a 2. We can clean up these as well, I think. Nope. Back all that out. It's supposed to be one of those. And we get other things as a result. This could also be a 4. It can also be a 3, 5, 6, 7, and can't be an 8. So how about if we punt on that and say that's a 2, that's a 2. There are those 2. There are that. I don't have any 2s marked in this square. So let's back that out. And mark the 2 possible 2s here. Not an 8. We got an 8 here. All right, let's see if I can force something. So if I make that a 2, that becomes a 4, and that becomes a 5. And these 2 go away. These 2 go away. That becomes a 2. Does not really fix that up for us. However, it says that can't be a 2, which makes that a 2. Because that can't be, and that becomes a 2. And this becomes a 3, making this 5 and a 3 here. Not a 5 there. These 2 cannot be 5s. This can't be a 3, so it's an 8. And this becomes a 3. So we can clean up these 3s and these 8s. And we're left with an 8 here and a 4 here. Clean up these 4s I should have done earlier. Clean up these 4s. That leaves, oh, that's not a 4 either. Okay, so that tells me that that 2 is in the wrong place. So let's go back that out. That is not a 2. So that becomes a 2. Not a 2. Possible 2s. We'll restore those possible 4s. Oh, that can't be a 4. These two can't be 4s anymore. That becomes a 4. That's no longer a 4. That can be a 4, but that cannot. And we can put that back as a 2. Okay. 238283783783. These two gets to be a 2. That works one of these two, which then affects one of these. All right, let's try this fun. 5 and 3 here. So we clean out these 3s, clean out these 5s, and we get a 1, 2, and 3 combination there. Means none of those can be a 3. That makes this a 3 and this an 8. So we get to clean out the 8 here. And anything else I can treat as solved at this point? Not there. Okay, that's my alarm saying that I need to run the Sudoku Puzzle. Actually, means something else, but we'll work with that. Okay, not getting a lot of really good hints there. So let's come down here and see what we can do here. Let's try 8 and 7. Not a 7 there, not an 8 here, here, or here. And that can't be an 8. That can't be an 8. These two can't be an 8, so that's an 8. This becomes an 8. Not an 8 there, not an 8 here or here. That becomes a 3. So that's an 8 now. That's a 2 and a 3 here. 5 and 2 here with a 4 dropping in there. That becomes a 4. This becomes a 7. Not a 7 here. 1, 3, 1, 3. That turns that into a 7. This becomes an 8, and this becomes a 3. This becomes an 8, meaning these two can't be. That becomes a 6, 7. So not a 7 here, which is not a big surprise. Not a 6 here, but also not a 2. So I got a 1, 3, 1, 3. This is a 5. This becomes a 2, and I got a 1, 3, 1, 3 here. Can't be a 4 here, so that's a 6. This becomes a 4 and a 5 here. All right. And this is one of those situations that we're not supposed to be seeing. So either this is a 1, this is a 3, 1, 3, which doesn't work, and that doesn't work. Okay. So let's back all of those out, and let's back out to where I made that mid. I think it was 5, 3, or 5, 7 in the bottom left corner, or bottom right corner. 7, 8. So instead, let's do a 7, 8, which turns this into a 3. This becomes a 7. So not a 7, not a 7, not a 7, 7, 8 here. So not an 8 here or here. Eight, 6 pair there, 1, 3 here. That can't be a 7, so that's a 7. Okay. So 1, 3, 1, 3, so that can't be a 3. So that becomes a 5, not a 5, not a 5. 4, 8, 4, 8. And these two will be a 5. So that can't be an 8. We get 3 possibilities there, 2 possibilities here. This can't be an 8. That's 3. So that's an 8, not an 8, not an 8. This is an 8, and this 2, with this becoming a 3. This becomes a 2 and a 4. But this can no longer be a 3. This is a 1. This is a 3. This is a 1. Not a 1 here. Not a 4 here. So this is a 4. 2 and 3. 8 here. 5 and 4 here. 6 and 5 here. 8 and 6 there. Hey, 26 minutes. 26 minutes, or no, 24 minutes and 2 seconds. That, I think, is not as bad as it could have been. And obviously, I'd like it to be better, but it is what it is at this point. So, I will get this posted, or my results posted. How did you do? I hope you had a good time with this puzzle. We're going to see what we can do in this with an easy puzzle tomorrow, and maybe it will work out better, maybe it won't.